Hey there, and welcome to the video. I hope you are having an awesome day today, and I'm so glad that you stopped by. I am in my craft room, and I am currently in the middle of a project. I guess technically I'm starting it, but I've done some pre-work. I am making an explosion box. I've made a few of these, and they are very addictive and lots of fun. And I love that you can be really unique with them. So, not they all don't have to look the same. They can have different um, bells and whistles in them, and obviously different designs. And speaking of designs, if this is something, if an explosion box is something that you're interested in doing, the number one tip is to always use coordinated papers or set of papers, coordinating colors, complementary, that sort of thing. And the easiest way that I found to do that is through a paper pad. And this is actually really old paper. I actually looked up the date on the paper pad. It was 2009. It's a K & Company pad, a set pad, and it's really pretty. But that tells you how long that I've had it in my stash. But when you've been scrapbooking or paper crafting or journaling for a while, you tend to keep stuff for a long time because it's quality stuff, as you can tell. This is quality cardstock, and it's beautiful. And it's always good to shop your stash before you have to go shopping. Not that there's anything wrong with shopping. So anyway, I wanted to share kind of a little piece of inspiration that I came across, and maybe it's something you'd like to try. I use the paper kind of as a jumping off point for kind of the mood of my explosion boxes, and this is no different. So usually the first thing I do is, after I've kind of chosen which papers I want, I go back to what's remaining to see if I can get any additional inspiration, any additional design ideas. I think there are some, right? There's some beautiful flowers in here and lots of great patterns. The colors could go very easily winter, because they're so rich. But that doesn't necessarily have to be the case. As a matter of fact, this isn't necessarily a Christmas pad. But I usually go to the paper pad itself. So let me see if I can show you some of the pages. I still have quite a few. I'm gonna back up the camera just a little bit. Really pretty colors, very soft, pretty muted shades that are almost neutral, that can go in any direction. I actually thought about maybe using this bird and nest in the design on the top of the explosion box. I might do that. And then I came across this one page, and I believe, based upon what I'm looking at on the back of the paper pad, it's the only one, and that's this. You know, my first thought is butterflies, but these are maybe moths. If somebody knows, they please feel free to share. Bees, you've got the dragonflies, and again, it's only one page like this. And I started to look a little carefully, and I said, you know, these are repeat designs, and we can use that to our advantage. So, of course, first and foremost, you could fussy cut these, which is what I'm planning to do, but you could use them, pull this back out, you could use them anywhere on your explosion box, even on the sides, especially maybe the outside. That would be really pretty, and almost like a decoupage, and use them that way all over. You could do that too. But I thought I would try something a little different, and I'm gonna give you give you a sense of where I started with this, and I haven't completely finished, so I'm still working on that part. I had a card set, an old card set, in this box. This is a newer one, but the card set that I had made was years ago. It's been sitting around for a while. It's a really nice, strong acrylic box, and it's made to hold a set of standard size cards and envelopes, so you could give it as a gift, or you sell them in a craft fair or something along those lines. But the box that I had, again, it was pretty beat up, and I don't like to throw anything usable away. So what I ended up doing was I ended up cutting it up. See, this is the place where, hope you can see that, where it was damaged, where it is damaged rather. So I have these two sheets, and I thought, okay, great, I have some shaker card material or something along those lines. I also have these cutout pieces from the sides, and these actually ended up in my recycling bin. So I, too small to really use for anything until I thought about cutting up some of the smaller pieces from the sides. And again, it's because they're so strong. They're just sturdy. And maybe you can see where I'm going with this, but I thought that maybe if I kind of took different lengths of this really strong plastic, clear plastic, and cut up a few of these lovely fussy cut insects, I might be able to really decorate the inside of the explosion box. I'm thinking about right here. I'm thinking about maybe 3, no more than that, mainly because I wouldn't have a lot of room. But working in 3s, triangles is always a good way to go when you're doing some basic design. So I'm gonna give this a shot. It's when I start recording again, it probably is gonna be quite a while for me, but just a few seconds for you. And we're gonna see how this works out. So wish me luck. And if it doesn't work out, guess what? I'm still gonna come back and tell you why, because we all want to know. We all want to know if this is gonna work out. So so stay tuned, and when I come back, we will see how we do. Wish me luck. Okay, so I've got my 2 pieces cut. This is kind of like my sample to see if this is going to work. And if you'll notice, I didn't bother to fussy cut the antennae, N-A-E, because it's just not worth it. But I did leave the bottoms here, and I'm not sure. The color is actually not being perfect, doesn't really bother me, but I wasn't sure if that was something I wanted to keep. I'm leaning towards cutting them because I think that they would eventually just roll up and it wouldn't be very pretty or very finished. Plus, it wasn't hard to cut them, but you can kind of see some of the white still left from the cardstock or the beige color. And I don't know if that makes it as clean as it could be. Always when you're doing fussy cutting, it's never going to be perfect, and that's okay because we're crafting with our hands, and nothing's going to ever be completely perfect the way we want to, as much as we would want to. So anyway, I'm okay with that. I was just more worried about whether or not they would match up, and it looks like they do. So I think this might work out. I think I'm going to next cut some more of the fussy cutting because I kind of like to work in batches, do all of one thing at the same time and then move on to the next up of all of the other things. So I'm going to get started on that. So I'll be back. Okay, so I've got my second set done here, and as you can see, cutting off that bottom piece really is the way to go. So what I did was I cut off the bottom for one of these and then put it together on top and just use it as a template for the bottom to make sure they match. Again, I'm not trying to go for perfection. I'm just trying to go for clean and to have it look nice. So I think that it's a little, although I do think these are pretty as is, I think that as far as my paper crafting design, it's probably better just to cut them off. So we're almost there. Bear with me. Okay, so we've got all of our butterflies or moths all cut out. Again, the colors aren't exact, but I actually like that. I think it makes it unique, so it's not completely matchy-matchy. But because we're using paper from the same paper pad, it will be complementary, and that's all we want. So the next step would be to figure out the sizing for our plastic pieces. Now, I was just playing around when I kind of cut these out, and I'm not finished figuring out exactly what lengths we want to use. But if we know that we're planning to put them on the very inside fold of our explosion box, so the very inner box, we know that it can't be higher, at least my paper, because the largest size is a 12 by 12. It can't be higher than that 12 by 12 when everything is nested together, right? The other thing we also know is that we do not want them to be the same height. We want them to be varying heights, if nothing else because of interest, but because we know we've got to close the box, and if they're all the same, there's nothing wrong with it, and that's what you wanted to do, that's fine. But to me, I'm really interested in getting them to be a little different, again varying the 1, 2, 3. I think the tallest one I'm going to shoot for maybe 3.5 inches from the base, and then the smaller ones will tick down from there, maybe by a 1/2 inch or a 1/4 inch, probably a 1/4 inch, when it's all said and done. Again, have no idea what the lengths are, or what they will be, but I know that that's kind of where I want to go. The other thing that's important here is that, again, I'm working with a really strong acrylic. So these little tabs that I'm going to be using to hold, to attach them to the inside of the explosion box are really sturdy. So you might want to just test to make sure it's going to stay up, move around. You could definitely do this with something that wasn't as sturdy, but then you run the risk of things kind of like coming out of whack. So to keep it as uniform as possible, we want to make sure that these tabs are pretty substantial, and then we've got a good adherence to the inside of the box. So I am going to go ahead, and I usually don't do this. I'm going to go ahead and try to attach these I'm not sure exactly how I'm going to design the inner part of the box. I am most likely going to keep these corners, turn them into hearts, and then maybe do a little bit of maybe a little pocket page or a tab. But I'm going to go ahead and do the design because I want to see how my little experiment turns out. So that'll be the next step. All right, here is the semi-final product. I think it turned out really cute. I'm actually kind of surprised. I mean, I thought it was going to be okay, but you don't know until you start putting it together. So I don't think I would change too much. I left these kind of bases a little thick. I think you could probably go a little thinner. I don't think they have to be so thick, but it was just, you know, again, I was just kind of eyeballing it. And the thing is that with the thickness of the acrylic, it helps the little butterfly / moss to to flutter. So there's movement there, and it'll be a nice surprise on the inside of the box, I think. I would love to try another variation of this again. Oh, and I just added these small little pockets. First, I cut out the corners. So we have the heart corners on all 4 sides. And then I made a little pocket here. It's got a little bit of a gusset, but not much. And I punched out a tag. I kind of preferred to have done this in maybe more of a print, but when you're thinking about how somebody might use this would be good for some names or a date if it's a certain event that you're trying to document. A little bit of seam binding that I had, not much needed, and I like the crinkly nature of that, and so it just kind of slips right in. And or you can obviously have it for a little journaling, but yeah. So I think this explosion box, it's well on its way to being done. Eventually this will make its way into my shop. So if that's something that you might be interested in, or if you're just interested in learning how to make these explosion boxes, I'd be happy, more than happy, to share a little tutorial. So here we go. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.